Hey guys, I am happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever your special flavor is. I'm here, ready to go live. We've got Mary and Sheri backstage. Tonight we are going to be talking about our previous episode, episode 6, with Michael L Hawley. We're going to talk about Jack the Ripper tonight, something that is very near and dear to Mary's heart. And we're going to discuss that a good bit tonight. We're also going to talk about some current events. So there has been a crazy amount of stuff that has been happening in the true crime world this last week, last 2 weeks. It has been unbelievable. So we are going to talk about a bunch of that. So we're going to get into Daniel Penny. We'll talk about Luigi Mangione. We'll talk about the crazy ass drones that are flying all over the U.S. And Sheri is right there in Long Island, so she's gotten to see some things, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. We will also touch on the newest piece of true crime, this Wisconsin school shooter, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll probably finish off with good old Rex Heuermann. That is happening. They just entered some new evidence, I believe just today. They are adding some additional charges to him, so we'll talk a little bit about that. I do want to say that our last live that me and Sheri did together, Mary was on a not so nice vacation in the hospital. We did not know that then when we did the episode. We probably wouldn't have been so unmerciful if we knew that she was actually sick and not able to be here because of that. But we found out a couple days later. So, Mary, love you. Sorry we made fun of you mercilessly on the last episode, but you weren't here and we didn't know why. So, we got to do what you got to do. All right, guys, I'm going to bring them on stage. We're going to get going. It should be a lot of fun. Join in, comment. We're live on YouTube. You know this shit. There we go. What's up, Mary?
Yeah, I'll need to watch the last episode. So.
Mary, I'm sorry.
I'll watch the last episodes. Mm-hmm.
Mary told me, she said, I would have been there, but I was on a drip, Jeff. Sorry. You know what? Speaking of that, in all seriousness, I went in this last week because at work, I work full-time for Cintas. And while I was at work last Thursday, I strained my pec muscle and my shoulder. And I was like really kind of concerned that I had torn something. And so I ended up having to go in to Workman's Comp and to go there and to get checked out and have them do all the testing and everything. Thankfully, it was nothing serious. But I had to go back yesterday and do the follow-up appointment. Well, both times I was in there, my blood pressure was really high. And so like I went in there the first time and I thought, well, maybe it's just because I'm in pain and I have an injury. My blood pressure was like 160 over 90. And when I went back in there for the follow-up, my blood pressure was 180 over 120 yesterday. Wow. So I think I'm going to have to go back. And I used to be on blood pressure medication. And so I was monitoring it pretty regularly. But I was also super active. So I got to like where I could control it with my diet and my lifestyle. And now I'm fat and out of shape, overweight and out of shape. And so I think that I've got to go back and talk to some people because I don't want to like have a stroke or a heart attack. I try to avoid that.
That sounds like a bit of karma there, Jeff. You were talking shit about me.
You may not be wrong about that. So good. Now that we've apologized, my heart can stop beating so hard.
Get back to
calm down. Yeah. All right, guys. So y'all watched episode 6 with Michael Hawley. What'd you think?
Loved it.
It was great.
Loved it.
So Mary said that she's watched it like 6 times now.
So far. so far.
Nice.
Right?
Would you say, Sheri?
She's the resident expert. So when you did, it was a Mary-sode. It's called a Mary-sode, not an episode.
I know, like she is our UK correspondent, right? I gotta tell you, it's fucking.
I'm just waiting till you do JFK, and I'll be straight in there.
Dude, it's fucking super hot in my room right now. I gotta take this hat off. Merry Christmas, but I'm burning up. Oh golly. Woo. That's too much.
It's 60 degrees here.
Yeah, I know. It's like 50 here today, but I'm also like right above me is the vent. And it like blows right on my head when I'm doing the podcast. And if it's hot, man, I closed the vent yesterday. Yesterday I was doing an episode with Phil Chalmers, and that will be out in January. But the vent was open and it was like blowing so hot on me. I was like, golly, I'm sweating. Holy shit. So I closed it, but it's still hot right here. All right. So Jack the Ripper. Now, Mary has a lot of opinions about Jack the Ripper. I got to tell you, after watching the episode and listening to a bunch of the evidence, I think Hawley stole my opinion. I got to tell you, he swayed me. He has a lot of very compelling information. For those of you that have not watched the episode yet, make sure you go and check it out. It is excellent. Michael Hawley knows his stuff when it comes to all of the intricacies around that, which is really kind of cool. And he will also be the first one to tell you that he is not 100%. Right. And he talks about it in the episode where he says, I'm never 100% on anybody, but this is the person I have the most speculation on that could be who it is. And what did you guys feel was very compelling in that?
Well, I also thought, as you know, in our chat, I gave you a bunch of names who I thought that's sort of on the list. And if you remember, I did mention Francis.
I don't remember that.
Oh, man.
Selective memory again, Jeff. Okay. But one of the suspected of being Jack the Ripper, who was married to Elizabeth, but Elizabeth used to go as a prostitute, and her name was Mary Jane Kelly.
Yeah.
So you remember that, Frey? What I put in the chat? Yeah.
I do. I remember that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Sheri, what about you? You were getting ready to say something.
Wait, what was I going to? I totally lost.
I don't know.
Wait, hold on. So, whatever Mary just said, I laughed, and I can't remember what I was going to say. But give me a minute.
Okay.
You know what? Like we were just talking off camera about like the Gacy, the this, the Dahmer, like all kinds of stuff. I mean, we've had the lore of Jack the Ripper since I was a kid. I mean, and then the interest, I can't say that word, of the is it woman, is it part of the royal family? So like all of that, and then listening to Mary all the time, which is a positive, and then hearing the last podcast, I kind of agree with what he has to say, but I'm not 100% sure. There's always that like question mark. Where's the like there's as much as there's a lot of evidence swaying one way or the other. How do you really know? How do you really know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, with a case that is over 100 years old, right? We're at what, 140 years that this case has been a thing, just shy of 140, 132 or something like that. Anyway, with a case that old, really knowing is next to impossible. We don't have any positive DNA no matter what the shawl and all of that bullshit is, because we know that that's ridiculous.
I don't think she was even wearing a shawl.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things that he says in the episode. He says it's ridiculous to think that she even had a shawl, because she had sold her boyfriend or husband shoes that day, but she had this expensive shawl that she didn't sell. And then on top of that, the shawl apparently had her name, I guess, in water-soluble ink. And that day that she was killed, it was pouring rain out, which means that there's no possible way, if that shawl was out there during the murder, that there's any possible way that all that name wouldn't be washed off completely. So
I know for a fact, in like my digging, and he is right in what he's saying. He didn't think that he was from Special Branch. He wasn't connected to Special Branch in any way at all.
Yeah.
And the other sort of 100% thing, H.H. Holmes had nothing to do with the Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. So what I think is really interesting about that is when he talks about that one guy who had the shawl. You know, again, you're talking 130 years. And of course, if you're at all connected with the case by any stretch, of course you're going to come up with, hey, I got this and I picked this up and I picked that up, because you want your family to be like, hey, would you bring back? Did you bring back a souvenir? I mean, let's face it. All of us, even now, Christ, I sell dirt from different sites, right? That people want because they want a little piece of that history, right? So like, who wouldn't want to say, even if it's a lie, that they have a piece from the crime scene? Because
can you imagine though, Jeff, how many people over the 140 years have touched that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's the point that I made. It's impossible to get a positive DNA off of that. It would be so degraded because hundreds of people have touched that thing. You have no idea whose DNA that actually is, even if it is familial DNA. So what? The great ancestor could have touched it last week and it would have familial DNA on it, right?
Yeah.
It's silly to believe, because even today we have to preserve evidence, right? It has to be taken with gloves and put in a bag and sealed, and there has to be chain of custody. We're talking about 130 plus year old shawl that hundreds of thousands of people have touched. There's no way to preserve that. No way.
No.
They didn't preserve it the way it should have been, but they didn't know DNA back then.
No. And plus they didn't know anything about a crime scene.
Right.
For that time Victorian, I mean, basically Victorian times, or just before. Yeah. Actually, it was just before Queen Victoria. Or was it?
Was it before? No.
No, it was during.
No, she was.
During. It was the Victorian age. Because
Prince Albert, his name was floated about. And believe it or not, you know, Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, his name has also been linked to the Ripper case.
Yeah.
That one, I'm thinking, no.
Yeah. That I actually talk about that in the book about Lewis Carroll. It's an interesting thing, but I think really that is just because he was famous at the time that all that was happening. So of course everybody wants to allude that in his books he was writing cryptic messages about this, right? And it's just it's really kind of silly. One of the things that in the whole episode that really struck me is when Michael said that, you know, people always ask me, you know, when the Ripper murders ended, if somebody did it and left town and went to the United States, that there would be more murders. And he says, it's crazy, but it's true. And I've found 30 plus more murders that were very, very similar to the MO of Jack the Ripper in the United States that are never ever talked about. And that to me was super compelling, because I've always believed that for Jack the Ripper to have stopped, he either had to be arrested, dead, or he had to move somewhere else. And we just didn't record those things, because there's no reason why someone like that would kill the way that he did would ever stop unless someone stopped him. So, and I felt like I've always believed that there were more murders in London that area before the Canonical Five. I mentioned a bunch of those in the book. There's at least 7 that are before. There are a couple that possibly may be after. And now there's the possibility that 30 or 40 additional murders in the United States, which is, to me, that's compelling evidence. The fact that Tumblety actually has record that he was in London during the time of the murders is very, very compelling. And then when he leaves, the murders stop and they pick up in the United States. That to me is compelling evidence, especially since the murders here in the States that the railway ripper did
that one
are very, very similar to how the murders were in the UK. So to me, that was really super compelling. And some of the other stuff that was interesting that I didn't know were like some of like his Tumblety's like hangups, right? He had a lot of really interesting things going on, from abusing children to abusing men to hating women because he got syphilis. And, that was really, really interesting to me. And I think that we forget here in our modern age, we forget how much meaning like the biblical stories and stuff had for people back then, right? It really did influence their life. It really did change how they viewed things. So the fact that that he believed that Eve was the reason why sin entered the world, and it was the woman's fault, and he always had an issue with women because of that. That is a very present thing in the 1800s. Today, most people don't even pay credence to that at all. But back then, it was a very real part of society. People believed that. And if they felt that way, they may be very angry. And we know that Tumblety was not interested in women, right? He was interested in men. Sexually, that's what he did. I thought it was interesting. I didn't know that he was a hermaphrodite. I had no idea that he had both parts. I was not aware that that was the case, which is very interesting. So, there was just a lot of stuff that he brought up that I was not aware of when it came to Tumblety. And I will be when I do the Lincoln assassination. When I talk about that, I'll bring him on to talk about the Tumblety influence on that, because he says it's completely wrong. Now, Tumblety and John Wilkes Booth did know each other, but he had nothing to do with the assassination, which is interesting. All right, so what else do you guys get from the episode?
Just a broader base. You know what? It's so funny as you get older and you hear bits and pieces of anything. You store that, and then your mindset becomes like compartmentalized on one thing. And then your podcast, seriously, I know that I'm patting on the back, but your podcasts open up so many different things for us, for all of us. So I listened to this man. I'm like, that's a really good point. Even listening to Mary, she's got good points. And then we take this, and then we we further our education, which I think is wild. Because for me, I'm set in my way. Okay, Jack the Ripper was this, this, and this, and that's it. And then we have different people
Well,
giving.
yeah,
Excuse me.
and you guys know that I've always been on the Kaminsky train. I've
Yeah.
always kind of believed, and maybe because some of that is because I'm a Polak, and you know I don't look it, but my last name obviously Ignatowski is Polish, and I have lineage back there in Poland, and some of my family. I don't know how true this shit is, but it was said back in the day that some of my family was royalty back there before World War II when Hitler came in and took everything and took all the land. My family got kicked out. My grandfather left and you know grabbed his German wife and moved to the States. But apparently there was a lineage back there, and they were some kind of duke or something in Poland, and so so there is this whole lineage, and you know, for me, maybe I got a soft spot for Poles because of that. I don't know. Maybe it's a thing. I also am. I don't want to say it like this, but have always been very interested in the Kuklinski story, Richard Kuklinski, the mafia hitman and everything. Another Polak, right? And so I'm currently writing about Kuklinski, and I literally have 3 books sitting right next to me right now on Kuklinski that I'm reading through for information to write my own stuff. But yeah. So maybe I got a affinity for that. But I'll tell you, after talking to Michael, my opinion on the whole Kaminsky thing has changed. I think that there, other than somebody saying the cop saying that he believed it was Kaminsky because a guy pointed him out, there really is very little evidence otherwise that it was Kaminsky.
No,
right?
I don't believe it's him.
Yeah. So, you know, well, there you go. Okay. We'll start getting into a little bit of trivia here from the episode. Right. We'll see how you guys do tonight. Mary is back. So I'll tell you, the trivia from the episode is harder than the true crime trivia that we did before, because you actually got to pay attention. And I go back and I listen to the episode and I pull out shit and I'm like, I wonder if I would get that. Okay. So in the very beginning of the episode, we talk about Michael Hawley's fictional works, right? That he writes fiction as well as nonfiction. So who is the protagonist in Hawley's fiction books? Was it Jack the Ripper? Is it the Watchmaker? Is it the Sundial? Or is it the Werewolf?
The Watch.
All right, Mary. You watched it 6 times.
Yeah, it's a toss-up between the second one and the third one, and I can't make up my mind.
Would be big.
I'll go with the. I think I'll go with the Sundial, but it's probably the Watchmaker.
All right, so we got 1 for the Sundial, 1 for the Watchmaker, and as usual,
Sheri wins it.
Sheri got it. Mary is out on that one. It is absolutely the Watchmaker.
Well, I did say that I was between the two of them.
That's true. You did. But that's also what you always do. So, you know, it also doesn't count. What's up? Audio Books channel. How's it going? Somebody said, "Hey guys," on YouTube. All right. So here's question number 2. What got Michael Hawley into Jack the Ripper?
Oh man, I know this, but I don't.
Right? Was it crime stories? Was it oh, it's Cammie. It's Cammie here. All right. Hey Cammie. How's it going?
Cammie. Can you see the question again, Jeff?
Wait, what was
Okay.
Because
A again?
Okay.
can you see the question
hold on.
again? Because
Yes.
you just
yes.
went totally black and I never heard nothing.
Okay. Yes, I will do that. What
Mhm.
got Michael Hawley into Jack the Ripper to begin with? Was it number one, crime stories? Was it the fact that he read a book about Jack the Ripper? Was it his friend Stuart Evans? Or was it Mystery Quest?
Uh, B.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with his. I was going to say his friend, but I think I'll go with Mystery Quest.
B.
All right. All right. So we got one for Mystery Quest. Well, we got two for Mystery Quest because Cammie also said Mystery Quest. Cammie and Mary going for Mystery Quest, and Sheri said it was because of a book that he read. The answer here is
I think it's
Cammie. Cammie and Mary got it right. It's Mystery Quest.
Yay.
He said he watched an episode of Mystery Quest that was featuring Jack the Ripper, and he was really, really interested in that. And then he started talking and reading some things and digging into it a little bit deeper. And he eventually ended up becoming friends with Stuart Evans. And he really ended up just kind of going down the rabbit hole after that. All right.
Okay.
Here's another question.
Uh,
What is Hawley's background? Was he a librarian, a paleontologist, a genealogist, or was he just some guy that liked to read?
The first one.
it's either C or D, so I'm going to say C because it's obscure.
Okay.
Paleontologist. Paleontologist.
Well, that was not A, was it?
No.
I thought. What was paleontologist?
That was
Yeah.
B.
Right, that one.
Okay.
Or
Yeah. Librarian was A. Librarian was
All
A.
right. Yeah.
Cammie said librarian. The answer here is he was not a genealogist.
it was D.
He was also not just some guy that liked to read.
Oh, then he was a B. Abba.
Yeah, it's A or B. And he was a paleontologist.
Oh, Mary, you got it right. I did not know
Yeah,
that. I remember that.
He liked to dig in the dirt, and on top of that, do a lot of research. Right. That's one of the things as a paleontologist you really get to understand how things move throughout history. Because you're constantly studying how these things come about, looking for all the artifacts and all of that. You get to do lots and lots of research as a paleontologist. So, all right, next one here. This is getting fun. Mary is in the lead, by the way. Just saying. I'll give her props. If you don't win this one about Jack the Ripper, shame. All right. How many eyewitnesses were there to the Ripper crimes? Is it 1, 3, 2, or 0?
A or D? A. I'm going to go with the A. But
Okay, Mary goes with the A. She says 1.
A.
Sheri also says A, 1. We'll see what Cammie has to say here in a second. Cammie says 0.
Oh, she went with the D.
She went with the D. And it's always a good idea to go with the D because it is absolutely correct. 0. No witnesses to the Ripper crimes.
No,
I was thinking because that cop was there when the Ripper was there.
I can't believe I did that. I went with Mary.
But he was not a witness to the crime.
Yeah.
So no one actually saw any of the murders. So, there are some people that were around that saw a person but couldn't make them out. but none of
Yeah.
them were there present for any of the murders at all. So
No.
we have 0 eyewitness accounts of the Ripper committing his crimes, which is
Yeah.
one of the things that Hawley said that I found really interesting, is that, you know, when the Ripper crimes happened, they were virtually silent. And it's really, really interesting. And matter of fact, I'm not going to go any further because I got another question that relates to that, and we'll talk more about that. All right. So there you go. So I believe Cammy and Mary are tied at 2 apiece right now. Just saying. Just saying. 2 apiece there. Sheri, you're still down to 1. So just 1. It's okay.
You know how Jeff likes to say, "I'm just saying."
I'm just saying. Just saying. All right. We're all next question. Were all the victims of Jack the Ripper prostitutes?
No.
Okay, this is a yes or no question, guys. Yeah. So
No.
Hey.
N-O
very good.
spells no.
Okay, A, yes, B is no. I'm going with B.
all right. So we got no's across the board. And you're absolutely correct. Now, let me qualify this a little bit, because I thought it was funny when I went back and listened to the episode, because I think that Holly was being very nice to me and didn't want to tell me I was full of shit, because he was like, well, they had all dabbled in prostitution, but they were unfortunates. And that's what they called them. So I thought it was funny. I was like, he was trying to be nice to me, because I made a big soliloquy about the fact that they weren't all prostitutes. And he was like, well, they dabbled a little bit, but they weren't all active prostitutes out there prostituting for money. Some of them did do that because, you know, they need a place to stay. They need a little extra money to eat, right? And so living on the street was not easy. Many of them, or at least 2 of them, had really, really bad home lives. Their husbands had kicked them out. They're now living on the street and trying to figure out how to survive. And just like anything else, when you're trying to figure out how to survive, you'll do what you need to do. And on top of that, all of those women had real serious drinking issues. So they had to pay for their alcohol as well as a place to stay. So, you know, there's a lot of things, but the truth is that Jack the Ripper did not go after prostitutes. And it's always kind of been believed that the Ripper targeted prostitutes, and he did not. He targeted women that were available, and those ladies were available.
Or alcoholic. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It was easy targets.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, here's the next one. What was the jurisdiction of the Catherine Eddowes murder? Was it in the jurisdiction of Scotland Yard? Was it in the jurisdiction of the City of London? Was it in the Scottish jurisdiction? Or was it well, that's it. You got 3 options. I'll give you 3 this time.
City of London.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Did Scotland Yard take care of all of UK?
No. Only London.
Difference between Scotland Yard and Scottish? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Is that Scotland? I'm going with
the difference is, Sheri, it's about 400 plus miles difference.
Hard.
In England, you've got years ago, Victoria House, called it Scotland Yard, but now it's New Scotland Yard.
Oh, all right. I'm going with Scotland Yard.
Okay, we're muting Mary for a second because she's trying to give extra information on this question.
Yes.
Like don't be explaining stuff because you know jurisdictions. All right. Cammy also went with Scotland Yard. So we got 2 for Scotland Yard. We got 1 for the City of London. And the answer here is Y'all should have listened to Mary. She's absolutely correct. It was the city of London.
She
So
lived
what's really interesting about that is that the beat cops that were in charge of the areas of Scotland Yard had different beats than the city of London. And one of the things that Michael talked about really extensively is how the women knew what those cops did, right? And how they walked their beat. And so they would then do all their dirty work when the cops were furthest away from them versus the other. And so Jack the Ripper also knew, whoever it was, knew some of the movements because he would kill people while the cops were on the other side of their beat. And he had a few minutes to commit the crime and get away. Now, one of the interesting things is, other than Mary Kelly, all of the crimes were done in less than 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
He killed them, eviscerated them, did whatever thing he needed to do to take whatever organs he took, and he got the hell out of Dodge without anyone seeing him. So, it's really interesting that is possible back then. And specifically with the Eddowes one, because that was the one that who was the 2 in 1 night? It was Catherine Eddowes and who else?
Oh God,
That was the double.
That was wasn't Mary Kelly.
No, Mary Kelly was the 5th.
No.
So the double one was Catherine Eddowes, and I can't think of her name. But anyway, Eddowes was the second murder, right? The first one, he actually almost got caught, right? He ended up having to stop quickly because somebody came by. And so he ends up doing the second murder over in the city of London instead of in Scotland Yard's territory.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, the fact that you can track that and really get some sense of what was going on, and that he had some inner workings of the entire system. Okay. So here's a great question. I love this one. How was the mutilation done in the murders? Was it done before death? So pre-mortem? Was it done post-mortem?
No.
Yeah, that's it. Pre or post?
Post.
I think
All right.
You're talking about before he kills them, he mutilated them, or while they were dying also?
While they were dying would be pre.
All right, so I'm going to go with pre, although I don't remember what Michael said. All right, I'm going to stick with that.
Okay, so we got 1 pre, 2 posts, and absolutely every single mutilation was done after death. So they were all post-mortem.
Okay,
so here's one of the things that's really fascinating to me, that Hawley talked about, is the fact that most of the women, at least 2 of them, were choked to death before anything else, before their throats were slit. Right? The fact that when they arrived, their tongue was hanging out of their mouth is an indication that they died from strangulation, and then he slit their throats. So it's one of the reasons why there was not a lot of blood at the crime scene. And when he eviscerated the people, because he had already killed them, their heart isn't beating anymore, right? So when you cut into the body, the arteries aren't spraying because there's no back pressure. So even though he would have had some blood on him, he would not have been covered in blood, and there wouldn't be large pools of blood like spraying everywhere in the area, which is really interesting, because that is something that you don't really find. Obviously, there's a pool of blood because somebody's been cut apart, but not the way that we have like blood spatter when you cut somebody's artery while they're alive, which is really, really interesting to me. I would have not understood that otherwise. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Plus the fact that he could use, he has surgical techniques, so it would get like droplets of blood on him.
Yeah.
Not like
yeah.
big gushing pools of it.
Correct.
Just like droplets.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What
You guys
happened?
like playing?
She's not in the. Where is she? Well, Mary was up here, and now I can only see her eye. Like I can hardly see her. I'm sorry. Do you see?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Last question for me tonight, as far as trivia is concerned. And this one is about Tumblety. And so we'll talk more about this before we move on. But what collection did Tumblety have during the Civil War? Did he have a toenail collection? Did he collect fingers? Did he collect skin? Or did he collect uteruses?
Toenails.
All right, we got toenails.
I really don't know, but back then, where would you put a uterus? They do dry up, sort of like the bladder that I did when I was in. I put it in my pocket as a joke. It was a rat's bladder or something. My friends didn't find that funny. I did. I still do. But anywho, I don't think
I got other questions. I'm just saying. I got other questions.
We dissected. I was in anatomy and physiology, so as a joke, I put the whatever in my pocketbook, not knowing that it had formaldehyde. But anyway, I'm going to go with toenails. Although I don't.
All right,
but go ahead.
All right, we got 2 toenails and we got some fingers. Cammie says fingers.
Yeah.
All right, what I'm going to tell you is that you're all wrong.
Don't tell me it was the uterus. And
Oh my god! Oh my god! No, it's skin. It's skin.
No, it's absolutely uteruses.
Where? Uterus.
Francis Tumblety had a collection of uteruses.
Oh, that's just weird.
Okay, but wait.
It is super weird. So here's the thing. In the Jack the Ripper murders, at least 3 of the women had their uterus removed.
That's
right. Yeah. So when you're talking about weird shit, and you're talking about like who has any kind of reason to do the types of mutilations that Jack the Ripper did, the only one of the suspects that has that is Tumblety.
Right.
So
ask him where he put these, and I'm not making jokes. If you put whatever, let's say
he had them on display.
Oh, that's really, I would love to have met him.
So like he was like he traveled around. He was a grifter that believed that he had cure-all like medicine, right? So he was going around with all of these things. Like he almost had like a museum, a collection of stuff for people to look at. And I like lost everybody. Like Mary completely disappeared. Sheri got up and ran off.
I'm still here, Jeff. I'm still here.
What
I'm still here. I'm listening.
All right. I don't know what's happening. Like the show completely disappeared.
I'm here.
Okay. All right. I don't know what's happening here. We're like people are upside down and doing handstands and stuff. Okay.
Watch this.
So
wait.
Messing with backgrounds.
I don't.
All right. So Mary, I'm interested to see what you thought about this, because I thought this was really important in the podcast. Tumblety was apparently really, really into the whole elixir of life. Now, again, when we talk about Victorian England, right? And we know this because of watching Harry Potter, right? Because Harry Potter, the very, very first one, talks about the Philosopher's Stone. Now, what people don't understand is that was a real thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was.
There was a real person that was trying to find that, right? And so that isn't bullshit from Harry Potter. It was legitimate. There were alchemists that went out there and did all this work. The whole idea of turning, items into gold and finding the Philosopher's Stone so that they could have eternal life is a very, very real thing for Victorian England. And so the fact that Tumblety was really involved in that idea, and not just him, like Sir Isaac Newton and other people were very, very involved in the writings about the Philosopher's Stone. So when you look at those things, and you look at the things that Tumblety collected, if you believe that he was collecting body parts, and of course that's one of the things that Michael Hawley says is that he was collecting things. Was he trying to figure out a way to make the elixir of life? Was that the reason for all of the murders? I thought that was fascinating because I had never ever looked at it from that viewpoint. But if you look at things from the viewpoint of somebody who's in Victorian England as a doctor, as a grifter who is selling like these elixirs, it's plausible.
I think he was. I think he was.
So the other thing he talks about is that Tumblety was terrified of heart disease and kidney disease because he ended up getting syphilis, right? So the fact that he takes a kidney, I believe it was Catherine Eddowes' kidney, and then he takes Mary Kelly's heart. Is that something else that maybe he was trying to heal himself from that and trying to take care of himself? I don't know. It's a fascinating idea.
I believe that, well, the stuff that I absolutely found out, because when I read a wee bit about him, instantly I thought it was him. I thought. And he was also fascinated with Frankenstein as well.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then the vigilante, the Whitechapel vigilante, got half a human kidney in the post.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I for all of you that haven't had a chance, make sure you go listen to the episode. It is fascinating about Jack the Ripper. Of course, Michael Hawley believes that, he's about as sure as you can be without saying that it was Tumblety. But he has got some incredible evidence. I'm super excited. He's got a book that's going to be coming out this next year with new evidence pointing towards Tumblety, and a show that is being filmed, and a documentary that's going to come out about Tumblety. So I am super excited to hear that. There was a bunch of stuff that he couldn't even release on the podcast because it is going to come out in the new book. So he alluded to some things.
I think it was Tumblety.
Oh, look at that. We got Mary.
Wow.
We turned Mary. Look at that.
Oh my God. It's wow.
It's some of the things that I've researched myself.
Didn't she originally think it was
in our chat?
Wait, Mary.
Before,
go ahead.
I did actually the names that I was giving Jeff, and I did actually mention Francis Tumblety. I did actually mention that.
You did. I know.
Yeah, you're admitting now.
I do, because, the thing is, I remember when we were talking about it, I was asking Mary, because I was working on the Jack the Ripper of my book, and I said, Mary, I said, who do you think, like, what is a list of names that you have that are suspects of Jack the Ripper? Because I wanted to go in and cover some of them, and one of them was Tumblety that she mentioned. And probably 15 or 20 others that she sent me. So I'll give her that. Okay. So go back, listen to the episode, watch it, buy all of his stuff because it's fantastic. Check it out. And to be perfectly honest, make up your own mind. And this is what this is all about, right? This is about, listening to the evidence that these people have spent years and years of their lives compiling and looking at, and then figure it out. See if you agree with them. See if you don't agree with them. It's fine. Nobody says that you have to agree. But I will be honest that, as many years as I've studied Jack the Ripper, I feel like I'm closer now to understanding who it was and the motivations around it than I ever have been before. And so I thought it was incredible hearing that. Matter of fact, I'm not going to say that in my Christmas list this year, Michael's books are in there, but they are because I haven't gotten any of them yet. But I'm hoping that Santa brings me a couple of those because I'd love to read them. I'd love to get Krampus, which ironically will be our episode next week. So we'll be talking about Krampus. So for our holiday episode on Christmas Eve. So we'll talk more about
that.
We'll
Sheri likes that.
Before we get off of here, we'll talk more about that. All right. Moving on to current events from 130 years ago to moving on to this week or the last 2 weeks. There has been a huge trial in the news that has really had some effects here in the United States. General. It has really kind of exploded as all of the racial stuff tends to do here in the States. But Daniel Penny was a former Marine and was on a subway, and a gentleman got onto the subway, was yelling and cursing at people, saying that he had no problem with going back to jail, that he was going to kill somebody on the subway. He started threatening people and said that he didn't care if he died. And he was high as can be on who knows what kind of drugs. But anyway, Daniel Penny is listening to him and decides that he is no longer going to sit there and let somebody threaten these people. And he grabs him from behind and starts to choke him. Penny says that he held him for about 5 minutes. Other people said that he held him for a lot longer, but it was literally from one stop to the next. So the chances of it actually being 15 minutes are pretty slim. It was probably more like 5 to 7 as they were going from stop to stop. But the gentleman that he was choking ends up dying and does not survive the encounter. So it becomes a huge news story here in the States because Daniel Penny was up for murder because of that, and he was exonerated. He was acquitted of that murder, and of course, the firestorm in the United States just blew up about how it's a racist society, and this guy killed him because he was African American. And as you can see from our panel here, we are all in agreement that it's ridiculous.
Stupid.
Yeah. The fact
my understanding, the guy was abusive to a particular woman, and that's how this guy got involved. So
can I just say something? Okay, I live in New York. All right, subways, the city streets in New York are a little. It's a shit. All right, it's as if it's like the cowboys and Indians and Western. It's like what do they call that? There's no anybody can go anywhere and do anything they want, really. So this poor guy is on the train, packed subway, by the way, with all these innocent people, and this guy, it doesn't matter what color he is, by the way, and I don't know why it's always a racial thing. This is not a racial thing. He was on the subway, high as a kite, homeless, consistently in trouble. And this poor guy sees all these, let's say, older people, women, blah, 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 and the guy is threatening them. Now, if you know anything about New York, it's really like Times Square. It's like shoot him up, whatever. And it's bad. Now, that poor guy, Daniel, right, goes and tries to help everybody else on the subway. There were other people trying to hold him down. Now, unfortunately, he passes away. I don't wish that on anybody, but he was protecting other people, protecting people that couldn't protect themselves. And let me tell you something, the idiot ADA or DA in New York actually goes and puts him on trial. I guess because maybe he had to, because it's a political issue. He goes and puts him on trial. Now, if that guy would have gotten a murder charge, by the way, nobody anywhere in the United States or anywhere else would ever help anybody again. Would you?
Yeah.
Would you help somebody and then get slapped with a murder charge because you're trying to do the right thing? Okay, I'm going to stop saying.
Absolutely.
And that's
no. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think Daniel Penny is somebody that we should aspire to be, right? That we should go in there and help people that can't help themselves, right? And I think one of the things to me that when you watch the trial, all of the people that were on the subway that testified all said that he did the right thing.
Right.
That they were scared to death, that they all feared for their life because this guy was out of his mind. He was so high and he was threatening to kill people. Like, what do you do in that situation? You either take action or you sit the fuck down and you hide. This guy, Daniel Penny, took action. And it's a shame that a guy lost his life because of it.
Absolutely.
But should he be held up as like this civil rights activist? No, this is the same guy who was convicted of like trying to kidnap some girl, an underage girl. And, like, this is the guy that we're saying is like so wholesome. Like, even though he was threatening everybody and was, it's crazy. It's crazy that we live in a society that feels like they have to jump on the train of anything so that they can prove their point, right? But you contrast that with now, you have the Daniel Penny case, and right when that conviction happens, you now have this healthcare shooter, right? And, he's not convicted yet. He's also, he's been arrested. He's been charged with the murder now. That just happened today. But Luigi Mangione, who they have a incredible slew of evidence that he was the guy that did it, right? His fingerprints are at the crime scene. His fingerprints are on the wrapper of what you see, the bar that he was eating. His DNA is on the water bottle that he was drinking at the crime scene. Like, I don't know how you get away from that. And that's not even to mention the fact that when they caught him, he had the manifesto on him. He also had the gun, the silencer. He had the ID that he used to get the hostel, where they actually get his full face, right? The picture at the hostel, because apparently he was flirting with a girl there. And so he pulled down his mask, which is ultimately which gets him caught, because people saw that picture and then they see this guy in McDonald's in Altoona and they're like, oh shit, that's the guy. And I heard, I don't know how true this is, but the worker who called the police ended up getting fired from McDonald's.
That's right.
Now, I don't know why. You would think that would be a reason to keep you at your job. But, who knows? There may have been a lot of other issues. Who knows who that person was? But it seems a little bit fishy that happened right afterwards. But here's the point I was trying to make. You have the Daniel Penny case where everybody is like, he's a racist, he's terrible. And now you have Luigi Mangione, who kills a CEO of a healthcare company in cold blood on the streets of New York, right? And everybody says, God, he's so hot. I can't wait to write him in prison. News stations are talking about how attractive this guy is, right? What in the hell is wrong with people. Because here's the problem that I have with that. Before you say anything, and I'll let you have the horn here. But we get really upset at people for being all over Bundy and Dahmer and Ramirez, right? What's wrong with those sick people? They killed people, but yet this guy just shot somebody last week and probably intended to kill a bunch more of CEOs, but he's super hot and we love him and he should get out. It's crazy.
Hold on. It's not about how good looking he is. It's about what he stood for. And I don't condone killing people for any reason. I'm not going to say but let me just tell you about okay. Mary really doesn't have any of this because they have social health care,
Yeah.
right? Have you ever been denied for anything?
Oh yeah.
Not medically necessary. Now hold on. I have been ready for this one. I've been approved for medication that I needed shots. They approved the medication but denied the procedure. What kind of shit is that? It gets better.
Yeah.
Kids that are taking cancer treatments that needed like the anti-nausea medication, they're denying them because it's not medically necessary. This is where, and unfortunately this guy happened to do this. It's not right, but he did it in a time where United Healthcare and what just happened to Blue Cross Blue Shield, which they stepped back from the fact that they wanted to stop anesthesia. They wanted to limit the amount of anesthesia you're getting. What the fuck is that? And
so I'll tell you, I agree. We have some serious issues with healthcare here in the United States. Completely agree. There is a lot of shit that's going on. Do I believe that CEO has complete control over that? No. It is an industry issue. The entire industry, and United Healthcare isn't even the worst one.
Who is?
Right? I think there is I heard some statistics, and I don't know them completely myself, but I think United Healthcare was somewhere around fourth. I don't know who was number one, but there were many other agencies that were denying far more claims than United Healthcare. But that doesn't mean anything because he may have decided that he was going to hit them all. so maybe he was going to get rid of the whole crew. The problem is with that is that it needs to be a complete reform, right? And it's sad that this is the way that things have to go before changes start being made. And it's not okay that it happens. But I don't. It's such a sensitive issue because I get it, right? Because there needs to be change. A lot of that shit is bullshit. How many times you go to the hospital, especially now, and they charge you all of this money for procedure. Like, for example, there are all kinds of things that they charge you for and hope that insurance is going to cover it, right?
Right.
Down to when you go to the hospital and they charge you $3 a pill for ibuprofen, right?
That's right.
I can go buy a bottle of ibuprofen for $4, right? 50 capsules or 24 or whatever. You charge me $3 a pop, right? And it's crazy. How our healthcare system works in this country. But that doesn't mean you can go out and shoot people and kill them because you don't like it. There are plenty of ways to gather people and to do things that can affect the system. But it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Honestly, I don't think he's done.
No,
what's that?
He's not done. I think what's wrong with the thing is all these insurance companies, they're the ones that's making the billions, yet people are suffering. They should have what they done in the UK. I think it was just after the war, National Health Service. That's what we've got.
We
There's
have
no like people can have private healthcare insurance, but there's also a national health service.
we don't.
Well, I think the problem is, and I think why you will probably never see it here in the United States, is there is too many people that are making too much money, and there's so many payoffs within the government, right? Where they're getting this special interest payoffs to make sure that these insurance companies are doing. And so, I'm not a super conspiracy theorist or anything, but you see it, right? When you look at election time and what we just went through, right? And you see all the groups that are plastered all over TV that are supporting this candidate or that candidate, and that are putting all these billions and millions and billions of dollars into these campaigns. Who do you think these people are going to support when they get into office?
Of course.
Right? And so, there is a huge issue within not just our healthcare system, but our whole system of government. The fact that you have people, I live in Cincinnati, but I'm right close to the Kentucky border. And you have people like Mitch McConnell who have been in office for 60 years, right? What the fuck is this guy doing in office for 60 years? What does he know about the internet and about, these new emerging technologies that we can't get some guy that's younger to go in there and make laws and do different things? It's crazy. They should never be in there as career politicians.
And the worst thing of all, Jeff, is these crazy people just elected the insurance company's biggest supporter, Trump.
Well, I got to tell you that there were a lot of supporters on both sides, because you got to remember that that Kamala got over $1 billion and Trump only got a fraction of that.
Yeah, but
so
we don't like Trump over here. We don't like
I know you guys are not fans, but when you look at it dollar to dollar, she outspent him and outraised him by probably almost like he got 10% of what she got. Which it's a big question mark to me. How do you lose an election when you spend over $1 billion in ads? That's crazy.
I just think probably the same reason that Hillary didn't win either, because Trump buggered that up. That's me. That's me though, because I believe that I done my US history. I like presidents. I believe that Trump is the worst president.
There are a lot of a lot of people that believe that, but
the one before, the one who was really bad, I think it was the 18th or 19th president, Andrew Johnson, was terrible. But Trump parked him right out of the war.
So one of the people that I'm going to be talking about when I write when I finish this book on criminals, right, is I'm going to dig into the Watergate scandal. So I'll end up talking about Nixon, right?
Yeah.
So you want to talk about like corrupt presidents and stuff and people that do shit wrong? There's plenty to choose from throughout history, right? But in all honesty, every single country you go to, when people get into power, they become corrupt. And there's all kinds of wild shit out there that they do. Some are better than others, and you hope that they don't fuck it up too bad so you can all survive.
You know what? This isn't a Democratic or Republican issue. This is across the board issue. This is a United States issue. This is Joe Schmo from Idaho and Brooklyn, New York. This is everybody involved. This isn't. And, I watched, and my husband's always saying, fake news, until the Luigi Mangione thing. I didn't believe it. And I'm watching this, and I know exactly what goes on with the healthcare issues. I'm watching how they're trying to spin this shit, and it's wrong, and you're lying, and you're just trying to get people to like you and to watch your shows or to watch your podcast. You're lying. And now I am I don't like the news. I don't believe anything they say. I know what goes on with the kickback.
I'll tell you that the news media, it is the reason why podcasts have become so popular.
Sure.
Right? Because in our society, we have realized that the news is not honest.
No,
right?
No.
That they have decided to run with whatever they decide to run with, and they decide to promote whatever they're promoting with. And
Exactly.
you have a forum here as a podcast where you can say what you want to say, and you can really get down to what we're really experiencing as people, and that is important. This other bullshit that they promote on TV is often, just to sway the population, because you still have 80% of the population that's all watching that shit, and they believe it hook, line, and sinker, and it's a scary thing.
And the worst one of the lot is Fox News.
I don't know. CNN and Fox News run pretty close together. From opposite sides of the spectrum.
I can't see nothing about CNN because my favorite newscaster is on there, Anderson Cooper.
So that's just because I'm not saying anything else. So it was shocking to me, honestly, to watch over the news and how they would talk about Mangione and how attractive he is versus like how fucking terrible what he did was. And so like, it's so crazy that's the case.
He puts me in mind to another band that's sort of just how the hell they even follow him and what? I don't.
Well, you know what happened also?
Wade Wilson's a typical one.
Yeah.
You've got Wade's wives, you've got Wade's husband. I think one of them just got arrested for trying to smuggle shit into the jail for him. No, you know what one I'm talking. Did she get out, Sheri?
No, she's been in jail for 6, 7 months, 8 months already.
Yeah. It's like crazy.
Go
ahead, Sheri.
They did you see the thing where they went to the jail where he's being held?
Yeah.
If he's watching TV. Are you kidding?
Yeah. I watched that newscast. Dude, that was wild. And the thing that got me about that is they were all fascinated with the fact that the people were watching News Nation, right? Because that's who it was. And it's like, why the fuck does that matter? Who cares?
I don't know.
Like, and it was funny because the guys in the prison were like, no, we can't see Mangione. He's in a cell to himself and he doesn't have a TV, but we're all watching you. And it's so weird that they spent a whole newscast playing to the guys that were flashing their lights in the prison. It's so fucking weird. Our society. So that moves us right into the next thing, right? What the fuck is going on with all these drones?
Oh my! Did you see the video?
I've seen a bunch of videos. It was over your house?
Yeah, I didn't take the video of my house. My husband did, but I had one. It was big, probably like the size of an SUV. And I'm like, I went outside, I sat down, I watched that one go toward the right. And then there were 3 of them that stopped. But what happened was I have a Ring. And I have the edition where the neighbors can put on the Ring and like everybody like kind of talks to everyone else. My Ring started going off, ping, ping, ping. Did you see this? Did you see this? Why are there drones outside the house? I'm not believing any of this. When I text you and I'm like, there are drones all over the place here. Now I live near the water. Anybody like Brooklyn, Manhattan, the airport, the water, like LA, San Diego, anyone near the coast was seeing them a lot faster than anybody else. And I thought Mary had it. We have video, and they keep telling us that it's nothing. Really?
That's the CIA.
It's nothing.
So yeah, with the way that it's going, I think that there's one of two things happening, because they just said that they saw them over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base
Right.
just yesterday, right? And that's not far from me. That's only up in Dayton.
Okay.
So here's the thing. A couple different things are happening here. It's either the government themselves, right, that's
Yeah.
doing it, which is the reason why they're not saying anything about it. Now, why the hell they're doing it, who knows why? But if it's not, how fucking incompetent are the people that are currently in charge that
Right.
are not handling this situation? Now, you know, I don't know. There's a million conspiracy theories that are going on right now. I know a bunch of my friends that are in the paranormal community. You know, it's all UFOs out there and all of this stuff. We're meeting with the aliens now, and I don't know that it's anything like that. But you know, I wish that we were in a place where they would at least give us some information so we know. Now I heard that one crashed in New Jersey yesterday.
Oh, really?
So yeah, there was one that was supposedly crashed. So I don't know if they're doing any forensic evidence on that to see where this fucking thing comes from. But I thought that there were a whole bunch, especially in New York City, that there were a ton of no-fly laws, right?
Right.
Because you're not that far from Washington, D.C.
Right.
So how is it that these things are flying around the size of SUVs and nobody is shooting them down?
I want to know that
Like,
also.
what the hell is going on? It's so crazy. What do you think, Sheri?
CIA. Come on.
You think it's a CIA?
Yeah, obviously.
Why are they flying
So-
over? They're flying low. And then somebody on my ring, they said that they're flying low enough where they're basically invisible. There's no heat.
Yeah, they're under radar.
Right.
Oh, CIA.
But for
Dude,
what? Why don't you shoot them down?
I don't know. It seems crazy to me that that it seems like, you know, this has been happening now for what, 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and our government has done zero
And
to
that's
take care of the situation.
Exactly. There you go.
That's crazy. Well, and what gets me is you'll watch the people in the Senate, right, come out and say, hey, they're not even giving us any information. We don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
And they're even concerned.
That's a
So I don't know.
Man. CIA. Telling you.
Mary's got an in. She knows exactly what's going on.
Well, they've been corrupt since day dot. So come on.
So maybe it's MI6 sending things over here.
Yeah, get them out.
Coming and checking us out.
Nah.
Get freaked out.
I gotta tell you, I don't know. You know, of course, there's this idea that they might be Iranian, that they're over here. But I would have thought that by now, if that was something would have happened. Yeah.
No.
What's that?
Why are they in our airspace if they're Iranian?
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Like it is shocking to me that very little is happening, and we're just letting these fucking things fly around.
I wonder, Jeff, was the one that crashed probably underneath it. Property of CIA. Please return to the nearest office.
So I heard a theory yesterday, and I don't know how true this is. I don't know what this has to do with anything. Apparently, Elon Musk's brother owns a company that makes drones.
Yeah, it all makes sense now.
So I knew Mary would say that. But you know,
who was Trump's biggest supporter? Elon Musk. Come on.
You know, so I don't know if that was just a report I don't know the validity of that report. It's just something that I heard. But you know, who knows what the hell is going on? Clearly, there are a lot of people here in the States that have no clue, but things are flying around over their head. I know that there was also a report that said that one of them fired a round into the ground.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, there was a report.
Really?
So like, what the hell is that? If these things actually have the capability of firing weapons, we definitely should be taking these things out, right?
Why are they in our
It's
air?
crazy. Yeah. So I don't know. It's crazy.
If it's not to do with the government, why they're still up there? They would shoot them down or get rid of them. Come on.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's stupid.
We're
Crazy. I mean, that man, idiot. I mean, we would call him something else, but I can't. It's an unrepeatable name. I mean, the guy mucked up. I was perfectly used to being called Twitter, but no, as soon as he buys it, it's. No, he's a clown. He's an absolute tool. He's a tool. And he, of course, he was paying people at the polls to vote for Trump. There you go.
He really didn't have to be perfectly.
No.
All right. So moving on from things flying in the air to other things flying in the school. We just had this week, which was terrible. There was up in Wisconsin. Yeah, up in Wisconsin. Yeah, I've been watching a bunch of the coverage, and I wanted to clear some things up because there's a lot of wild shit that's flying out about this right now.
Yeah.
I talked to Phil yesterday, and he released some stuff on his Facebook page, and I'm going to read you some of this because I think it's really important to understand what is going on here. The girl who did it had a boyfriend, right? So she wasn't just some complete loner out there, but the boyfriend of the alleged Wisconsin school shooter ended up providing the manifesto, which is like 6 or 7 pages or something. So here's some of the stuff to dispel the misinformation. Her boyfriend knew her as Samantha Rupnow. She also went by different names. One which was also feminine, but adopted the name Samantha. And this was the name that her boyfriend said she had on her school identification card. Because there's a lot of people saying out there right now that she was trans and that her boyfriend was trans, and that is not true at all. She was not. So all of this bullshit that is popping up about any kind of trans stuff is not okay. I mean, like, oh, where's my camera at? Right. So it's my cup outside with pride. It's a pride flag water jug. But I have never been. My older brother is gay. I have been around the community all of my life. And so like this whole wanting to blame it on this group of people is bullshit. And I'm so tired of whether it's racist, whether it's homophobic or transphobic or whatever. Stop with all the bullshit labels. Look at the actual facts and make a decision. Don't label people and try to lump them together as a group. It is what is dividing us as a country. And so I really take issue when I see that stuff popping up. It's different. If it's true, it's true. But in this case, it's not. And it's just people coming up with stuff. So she was a student at Abundant Life. She was born November 7th, 2009. She was born female and was not transgender. Now, this is all coming from the boyfriend, right? Her boyfriend was born male and is also not transgender. Her manifesto was entitled War Against Humanity. It's 6 pages long. She spoke about having extreme difficulty with her parents, who she referred to as scum. She also claims her family didn't love her or want her, and expresses feelings like the wrong child of her family. So she was the black sheep. She says that she had planned to commit suicide a long time ago, but felt committing a shooting was better for evolution rather than one stupid, boring suicide. She expressed a deep admiration, and I don't know who all these people are, and I can't pronounce all their names because some of them are Middle Eastern. But Pekka Eric Ovinin, Arda, I don't know how to pronounce it, and Vladislav Rozalovsky. Forget it. But there you go. She offered particular praise for one of them, who was a Turkish neo-Nazi who committed a mass attack earlier this year, and stated he was an inspiration to her. She calls him an ultimate saint. She expressed that she got weapons to commit the attack through lies, manipulation, and my father's stupidity. There'll be more to come. There are screenshots of this manifesto. Her boyfriend also said that the photos that they're producing in the news are not photos of her, that they took out some things and made her look more kind of grungy than she really is. He added the actual photo of her, right, in the same shirt with her phone sitting at the and standing at the mirror. So those photos were made to make her look worse. If you want to check those out, those are on my Facebook page. I shared that. But if you look at the photo, and I'll show you here, the photo that they have in the news is the one here on this side. That's the photo they're using in the news, and that is the actual photo of her.
Yeah, I've seen the
right?
one. I've watched this since it broke, and the fact is that it came out that a second grader phoned 911.
What is
Somebody at the school, it came out. I think it was the chief of police. They kept doing like statements. I've been watching it, and it was actually somebody in second grade that phoned 911, and I thought, my God, man.
Yeah. I saw that.
And apparently there's 3 that are dead, and I think 7 that's injured. Some of them are critical. That's what I heard.
I heard she was a neo-Nazi, and they were checking out the parents for what their beliefs were.
They raided the house.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that, and I wonder about this, the teacher that was at that class, right, took the day off, called in sick, and there was a substitute teacher in the classroom, and she killed the substitute teacher. Shot the substitute teacher point blank, from what I understand. Now, it's interesting to me, like what the story is with this teacher. Was there a lot of conflict between the girl and the teacher? I don't know what the story is there, because we know very, very little at this point. That what I read is pretty much the totality of the news stuff that I've heard today. Other than the fact that the second grader is the one that called in and called 911, which is incredible that this second grader was smart enough and understood enough to figure out who to call and what to say when this is all going on. What a crazy, stressful situation that this second grader had to be like an adult and take care of. It's unbelievable. And, there was a lot of stuff out there about, oh my God, it's a female school shooter. There's been several female school shooters before. Matter of fact, the first major school shooting in the United States was done by a woman. It's the whole idea where this I hate Mondays come from, right? So like the idea that women can't be school shooters is kind of a misnomer. But it's interesting. There's also pictures of her like out at the shooting range firing, wearing a Columbine shirt. So there were obviously a lot of serious signs that this is a possibility. And where was everybody at? Where the fuck was the school at recognizing these things with this girl? Where are the parents at recognizing what their kids are doing? There's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. And, there was that, I don't want to say this like this, but a previous school shooting, that one guy that went in there, his family got charged, right? And they're in jail too, right? Because they were the ones that gave him the gun, were taking him to the shooting range. They were.
I watched that trial.
Yeah, they were very much complicit. All of the text messages between the mom and the son were very complicit about the fact that he hated people in the school, that he was planning on doing things. Hey, don't show people your pictures of the bullets that you're buying. They obviously knew something was going on, and so I don't know. It's so funny. Somebody commented on the chat. Dram commented that Luigi is a clone of Ryan Garcia, the UFC fighter. You may not understand that reference, but yeah, it's pretty funny. He's they do look similar. Hopefully not the same, but that's pretty funny.
It looks like. Come on.
Well, you got to pull it up yourself. I can't do all this. So, all right.
To me, it looks like Luigi with Super Mario Brothers.
That's just because his name's Luigi.
When they went after the guy, was it Peak Designs, the CEO? There was a rumor going around that he called the police and gave them the serial number, and gave them gave up Luigi, and everybody. That he had to turn off his comments on Twitter, but everybody is returning his backpacks. Go see what his stock is worth now. I'm gonna go look at.
Oh wow! Oh yeah. I had no idea.
That's right. Luigi has a little bit of darker eyebrows, but yeah, he does.
Yeah, they look a lot. That's funny. They say that plenty of us have doppelgangers out there. Matter of fact, there's a whole Facebook. I just saw this. There's a Facebook group where you can go in there and meet your doppelganger. Really fucking weird. Yeah, I just happened to see it this week. All right. So yeah, hopefully, in the next week, 2 weeks, we're going to hear a slew of information about this Wisconsin case. And what I'll tell you is, again, when we get down to it, this is a systematic issue with healthcare and being able to understand our own children. We have done a really, really bad job in the United States of making sure that our kids get the proper healthcare, actually paying attention to what they're doing. Weapons are weapons, but if we took care of things and we actually had a family unit, a lot of this shit wouldn't even happen. But we have so many people that are so disconnected from their own families, from their own society, from the people that are around them, that things like this continue to happen. When the episode with me and Phil comes out, we talk a bunch about that because we get into all of the school shootings, and we talk about teen killers. That's what he specialized in before he started doing all the stuff that he does now. And he has a great, great understanding of that. And of course, people don't really realize this, but that's what I did for a long time. I worked with troubled kids. I worked in the Department of Juvenile Justice. A lot of my psychological training is all from doing that work. So understanding why kids do what they do, and to see the breakdown of the family, and to see this breakdown in, for example, I made this point the other day. 20 years ago, when you went outside, or I guess 30 years ago now. But when you went out and hung out with your friends, everybody went outside. You all played outside until it was dark. And then a lot of times you would stay with your friends and you'd go and eat dinner with them. You'd hang out. You'd eat around the table at your friend's house. You might sleep over, and zero, very, very little, like maybe 20% of the time that happens now. And
No, right.
what you see is that now kids don't understand the humanity of other people. They don't care about other people because they don't see them as human beings, because all they do is hang out online. They have no real connection to society. It used to be that we understood, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this because we know so-and-so has a family. We know so-and-so, we know their mom and their dad and their sister and their brother. We don't know that anymore. They don't have those connections. So it is completely different in the lives of our own children, the dynamics that they have and the way that they interact with other people, because they don't see the interconnectedness. And so we have things like this that happen, and it's sad. We need to figure out, how do we get back to that? How do we change that dynamic to give people humanity back? Because we've lost it.
It's the parent. It is the parent's fault. It's easier for let the kids stay online because everybody's doing it. They don't have to. No offense to any parents. I'm a parent. You would be hard to believe that. No, seriously. I didn't mean to make a joke, but look, I have three children and I have twins, so it's a hell of a lot easier. Hey, you know what? Go play video. Oh, here's this.
Yeah.
So, you take them out, have them play ball, have them play this, introduce them to the people around you, take them to the park, let them play with their friends, but then again, doing that, Jeff, and this, Mary, too, you let them play outside, and you have to be their bodyguard, because then you have some pets going and stealing them.
You used to, well, I mean, when I was growing up, literally you could leave your doors
400 years ago.
Right.
Nah, not as much as your 1,000 years ago, Jeff. Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah. But there's too many, like, kids getting snatched.
Yes, right.
Pedophiles on every bloody corner.
So what do you do? That's the problem.
So,
the problem.
Yeah. I think you're. I agree.
See over here now, Jeff. See over here. No kids do trick or treat. None. It's non-existent.
It is a dangerous society that we live in. It is very difficult because, on one hand, we're trying to protect our kids from these people that are out there that harm children. At the same time, we take things away from them that they need to be healthy and to be engaging members of society. And where's the balance? It's really fucking difficult. And there are no great answers for any of that, right? What do you do? Like for example, even in my own neighborhood, right? Just a week ago, I got a notification that there's a pedophile down the street. Gave me his address and the whole bit, right? In my neighborhood, I get notifications of that. There's apparently like a halfway house down the road. So there's several of them that live there, and we get notifications here. Does that make me feel super comfortable about letting my kids out to go and play and to do whatever? No. So it's really, really difficult here in the States. There are no solvable answers for any of these questions. We need to do the best that we need to do. We need parents to be empowered to be able to handle their own shit. And we've taken that from them a long time ago. And it's continually, steadily gotten worse, where parents can no longer do what they need to do to take care of their family. And so it really becomes a problem, and we're reaping what we've sown. And it's very, very difficult. Okay. So enough of that high horse. Last thing. I know Mary wanted to bring it up. Rex Hewerman, who is right down the road from old Sheri, You know,
But this is like multiple states now, Sheri. It's multiple states. And one of the states that I can remember has got the death penalty. I think it's North Carolina.
Yeah, but
now the interesting thing is though, on some of the victims, his daughter's DNA was found.
Yeah,
now,
but
when the hell? Yes. When the hell is she gonna? When the hell is she gonna get arrested? Her DNA was found on him.
No.
Here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing about that.
Right.
If he was taking them to the house, which we know he was, right? If he was taking them to the house, if they were going around the house, the daughter's DNA would end up there anyway.
It's simply all the shit happened in the basement, Jeff.
It doesn't matter. It was on him. My husband has for me, my kids, all it does too. So do you, Mary.
Yeah. So we need to figure out what you need. What you need to figure out is what kind of DNA are we talking about?
Right.
See, the thing is, though, his wife's DNA was not on any of the victims.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. Because the thing that I put in the chat, if you watch that, the SDS thing, because that's 2 New York cops that were basically there, and they were talking about it, and seemingly there's more that's going to come out. This is like several states.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If that's the case, he would not be the first serial killer that had his daughter helping him, right? David Parker Ray, his daughter helped him procure a bunch of people and was actively bringing in women that they were torturing together, right? So, like, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility that happened in this case. I don't know enough about that to know if that was the case or not until they released the information. But, you know, it is not the first time in history that families have stuck together in doing heinous things.
That thing that I put in the chat, Sheri, watch that. About the STS thing. I put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Watch that because it's all about Rexy Boy.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. What is he, 6'6"?
Yeah, he's a huge dude.
Yeah.
Shit. I know he's alone. He's in solitary confinement, right? Has he talked at all? I mean, do we know anything about?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. Any statements from him?
Nothing.
You know, man, they have got so much evidence on that guy. That it is like there's no way that I would be shocked if he gets off. And you know, I don't know, it's crazy. But you know, I think it's interesting. I think we forget that he was also a businessman and he did travel a ton. So like it's not surprising that they would find, you know, the possibility that he went elsewhere, just like Gacy, right? Gacy went all over the place. There is the very real possibility that Gacy killed in other states that we have no idea about to this day. So, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that Huerman did that and was out there all over the place killing people. He traveled. So, you know, if he did it, why would he stop when he had opportunity and he knew he was getting out of town?
Exactly.
I think some of them that's involved the several states are sort of coming together, but I think like the one that's basically gotten banged to rights is North Carolina. And that's a DP. That's a DP.
Yeah, but it's only. Is it a capital murder case? Would it be?
I think it will be.
Yeah, it will be if they can link it to them for sure.
Okay.
They've linked 7 so far. If you watch the thing in our chat, it tells you it was 2 New York cops that were on there, retired, but they were New York cops, and 7 is there's too. They say there's too much shit on him he will not
Yeah.
get off with us.
Wow.
Basically.
So, we are winding down here. So, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but I posted this. I'm going to do, by the first of the, sometime in January, I'm going to drop a 3-part series on the Delphi murders. And so episode 1 is going to be the prosecution side, and all this belief that he did it. Episode 2 is going to be the defense story, and then episode 3 I'm going to go into a bunch of the theories and give my own personal opinion on, after reviewing everything and seeing all the stuff, what I think will happen in the future and what the possibilities are. So I'm excited to put that together. Sheri is shaking her head already.
Well, I was going to law school to be a public defender. And it always God smacks me in the head. Like, I'm always on the side of, oh, the poor guy. And then you got the prosecution, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm always like, well, look at this. Oh. And right when you said the Delphi murders, I was shaking my head. I just don't think he did it. I don't care. And I'm going to research this a little bit more. So when you do it, I'll be able to stupid. But I feel
Good.
And then you've got the other one, though, Sheri. You've got the other one.
Which one?
Diddy.
Who?
Diddy. P. Diddy. Puff Daddy.
Oh, P. Diddy.
He's not a killer. The Luigi. I'm like, oh my God, this poor guy.
No, but it did have similar. I mean, people say that Gacy was involved in the sex trafficking. Diddy was involved in that.
Why can't everybody be happy and be nice to each other and have unicorns and,
It's not Sheri. That's modern age. There's no rainbows. There's no daisies. There's no butterflies. There's just straight up shit.
When you feel like you have all the money in the world and you can do whatever the fuck you want, some really weird shit happens. I was listening to oh my God, what is his name now? Comedian was in played Ray Charles. Oh my God.
Oh shit.
I can't think of his name. He has a new special. Special. Yes, Jamie Foxx. So he has a new special on Netflix. And I didn't realize this, but Jamie Foxx almost died recently. Like he had he had he had a stroke is what happened. So on this new show that he has, he talks about what happened to him. And the first thing he says is everybody keeps saying that Diddy got me. And it wasn't Diddy. But he ended up having a stroke. Right. And he made a joke. Wow. He said, I was at a bunch of those parties, but I went home early because there was some freaky shit going on. And I was dying. I thought it was funny. But man, he is still really like suffering from it. And I guess it took him he was almost in a coma for 4 weeks. And then had to learn how to walk again and everything. It's wild. Go watch it. It's really good. I mean, they do some comedy, but he is really telling his story and how grateful he is to still be alive because they didn't know if he was going to make it or not. Crazy.
Jeff, did you watch the interview with the NFL player? And he was talking about Beyonce.
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh my God.
Seemingly, he was saying he was at the parties, like the ones that Jay-Z and Beyonce, the White House thing, the White Room shit.
The white parties.
Seemingly, Beyonce had a bunch of kids there at 11 p.m. Now, what the fuck are you going to do with kids at that time when they should be in their beds?
A what?
She knows more. Crazy. the ones that are probably shaking in their boots right now is Beyonce, J-Lo.
Yeah, but
Definitely J-Lo.
she can't testify against her husband, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it
I think
it's
that's why
crazy.
Ben Affleck. I think that's why Ben Affleck left J-Lo.
All right, so I want to mention a few things before we end because I'd like to go eat dinner at some point tonight. I'm hungry.
Jeff, who won the
Golly.
trivia? Who won the trivia?
I think
get-
you and Cammy tied. I think it was tied. So next week on the podcast we will have Jeff Berlanger, who is he is a folklorist.
I know him. Yes.
Jeff is incredible. I did not know until we did the podcast that he is also one of the executive producers for Ghost Adventures, and we talk a little bit about that on the podcast towards the end. Awesome guy. I have done a bunch of conventions with him, but have never really sat down and had a conversation with him. But love him to death. He's got some great stuff. Matter of fact, I have his book now, The Fright Before Christmas. I have it upstairs, and he talks about all the folklore around Krampus and holiday folklore. And with that being in the spirit of Christmas, because that episode is going to drop on Christmas Eve at 3 p.m. And then
Jeff,
I go to a
live. Is this live?
No, it's not live. It's pre-recorded. Yeah.
God, I would love that.
So on Christmas Eve evening, right? I'm going to be doing a live, well, maybe live. I'm still trying to decide. It depends. I've got to go to a holiday party that day too. So like that's when we do the Secret Santa exchange. So depending on if I
me and Sheri out there. If they're going to be alive, we can me and Sheri up there.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do scary stories, because one of the things that was a real big deal back in the Victorian times were on Christmas Eve you told ghost stories. And so I'm gonna bring that tradition back. We're gonna talk ghost stories on Christmas Eve, and I'm gonna welcome you into a spooky Christmas day. So I'm super excited about that. Should be a lot of fun. I've got my little book right here with some spooky stories in it to tell for Christmas.
Is that the same book that you've got? Yeah, more spooky stories, Jeff.
So we're gonna do that. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. Mary, Sheri, thanks for hanging out with me and talking all the true crime things. We will be back at you in 2 weeks, where we will discuss Jeff Berlanger and all things Krampus right before, and it will be just before, it'll be New Year's Eve. So we'll be talking maybe we'll crack some champagne and do a little drinking on the live next week. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen? I might blow the tickler. Who knows? All right, guys.
Go Bills! Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Go Bills!
See y'all. See you guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Cammy.